Prince Andrew never really leaves the news, but there's been a sort of tsunami of coverage over the last couple of weeks, and this is largely due to leaked emails that have come, I think, from Ghislaine Maxwell.
Why do you believe Ghislaine Maxwell is leaking these emails?
So where are these emails actually coming from? According to Lowry, they didn't emerge through official channels. Not from Scotland Yard, not from American prosecutors, not even from journalists digging through archives. Lowry believes the source is Ghislaine Maxwell herself. That claim might sound shocking at first. Why would she expose communications that could further damage her own reputation? But Lowry's reasoning is straightforward. She's acting in her own interest. Maxwell is serving 2 decades behind bars with limited options for appeal or early release. Her future is bleak. Her legacy is ruined. And in that context, creating distance from Andrew becomes strategically valuable. If throwing him under the bus offers even the slightest chance of improving her own position, whether through legal leverage, public sympathy, or currying favour with authorities, Lowry believes she won't hesitate. There's history between them, of course. Some reports have suggested a romantic connection years ago, but Lowry dismisses the idea that loyalty would stop her now. Sentiment doesn't factor into survival calculations. If leaking private exchanges helps Maxwell reframe her role or shift blame, Andrew becomes expendable. And there's another layer to this. By keeping media attention focused squarely on Andrew, other figures in Epstein's orbit remain in the shadows. Names that haven't been scrutinised as heavily, connections that haven't been fully explored. Whether intentional or not, Andrew becomes the lightning rod that protects others from deeper examination.
I also believe that Andrew lied about when he first met Epstein and about his December 2010 meeting 2 years after Epstein had pled guilty in a Florida court to soliciting prostitution from a minor.
His line was that he met Epstein in 1999. Well, he was going off to the island literally in February 2000.
For years, Andrew's defence rested on a few core claims. He said he couldn't recall ever meeting Virginia Giuffre.
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady. None whatsoever.
You don't remember meeting her?
No.
She says she met you in 2001.
He questioned the authenticity of the photograph showing them together. He insisted he had no meaningful relationship with Epstein until much later than flight logs and witness accounts suggested. Those denials became his public armour. But according to Lowry, these leaked messages tear that armour apart piece by piece. The emails reportedly show that Andrew was fully aware of who Virginia was. He wasn't confused. He wasn't mistaken. He knew a photograph might surface. He was concerned about it. That's not the language of someone with no recollection. That's the language of someone trying to manage a problem. But the most disturbing detail goes further. Lowry claims the messages reveal that Andrew actually selected Virginia from a series of photographs Maxwell had sent him in advance. If true, that's not passive involvement. That's active participation in a system where young women were being presented like menu items for powerful men to choose from. It suggests premeditation. It suggests entitlement. And it points directly to the trafficking allegations that have haunted this case from the beginning. Then there's the 2011 email, sent years after Epstein's conviction in Florida. Andrew reportedly wrote to Epstein, "We are in this together, stay in touch and we'll play again soon." 4 exclamation marks. In isolation, that might sound innocuous. In context, it's chilling. This was sent after Epstein had already been publicly exposed, after the guilty plea, after the scandal. And Andrew was still signalling loyalty, still planning future contact. That doesn't sound like someone distancing himself. That sounds like someone all in.
Admit fully that my judgment was probably coloured by my tendency to be too honourable, but that's just the way it is.
Could Andrew actually face charges? Lowry believes it's possible, though not inevitable. He mentions potential violations involving data protection laws, misconduct in public office, and given Virginia's age at the time, issues connected to trafficking. The legal barriers are high, especially for someone with Andrew's resources and connections. But the window isn't closed. If investigators felt pressure from public outrage or new evidence, prosecution could become politically viable. There's also the financial side. During his time as Britain's trade envoy, Andrew allegedly blurred the line between public service and private gain. Lowry suggests he leveraged his royal status to help business contacts secure lucrative deals while cultivating his own financial interests in the background. That raises questions about corruption, conflicts of interest, and whether taxpayers were funding what amounted to personal networking trips, disguised as diplomatic missions. None of this has resulted in formal charges. but it adds another layer to a portrait of someone who believed rules simply didn't apply to him. This isn't just about one man's misconduct. It's about the institutional apparatus that shielded him for decades. Legal advisors who crafted careful denials, press secretaries who managed the narrative, senior royals who granted him honours even as the allegations mounted. The late Queen continued to include Andrew in official events long after many believed he should have been sidelined. That wasn't ignorance. That was a deliberate choice to prioritise family loyalty over public accountability. But the protection is crumbling. King Charles reportedly promised his mother he'd keep an eye on Andrew, but Lowry suggests that promise is now a burden. Working royals don't want to be associated with him. Staff members don't trust him. Courtiers are unwilling to risk their own reputations by continuing to shield someone they see as a liability. The palace's strategy has always been delay, deny, and hope the story fades. But the public isn't buying the silence anymore. Trust in the institution is eroding. Commentators are openly questioning not just Andrew's behaviour, but the system that enabled it for so long.
I mean, it was very obvious that he was lying. I mean, he has a long history of lying, and he's got away with it in the past.
And then there's Sarah Ferguson. For years, she's been portrayed as a harmless, eccentric figure, someone who made mistakes but remained fundamentally likeable. Lowry challenges that narrative. He believes Sarah's financial entanglements with Epstein ran far deeper than £15,000 she once admitted to accepting. His estimate? Closer to £2 million. That's not a small favour, that's dependence. And it raises uncomfortable questions about what she might have known, what she might have witnessed, and why she's remained so closely tied to Andrew despite everything. Are they protecting each other? Do they share secrets that would implicate both if one broke ranks? Or have they simply become two people bound together by mutual risk and dwindling options? Some reports claim they're maintaining distance now. Others suggest they're still cohabiting at Royal Lodge. Their relationship remains as strange and opaque as ever. But one thing is clear. Sarah is not a bystander in this story. She's part of the web. Epstein reportedly called Andrew the King of Kink. Staff at Epstein's New York mansion remembered a guest suite kept specifically for Andrew because his visits were so frequent. Flight logs appear to contradict official royal schedules, suggesting the palace knowingly misrepresented Andrew's whereabouts on multiple occasions. This wasn't occasional poor judgment. This was a pattern. People who knew Andrew in his youth described the same traits that define him now: arrogance, entitlement, a need to dominate social situations. Teachers recalled a loud, dismissive student who bristled at authority. Friends and staff members recount crude humour, pranks that crossed lines, and behaviour that often left others uncomfortable or humiliated. What we're seeing now isn't a downfall. It's the inevitable conclusion of a personality that was never checked, never corrected, and never held accountable. One former palace insider told Lowry something revealing. Andrew isn't upset about the scandal itself. He's upset that he can no longer appear on the balcony, that he's lost his military titles, that he's been stripped of the visible markers of royal status. His entire identity is wrapped up in being a prince, not in duty, not in service, just in the appearance of power. Lowry calls him an intellectual zombie, someone so practiced in lying that truth has become indistinguishable from fiction even in his own mind. Virginia Giuffre endured years of attacks. Her credibility was questioned. Her motives were challenged. She was called a liar, a fantasist, a gold digger, but her testimony has held up. And as more evidence emerges, the public is finally recognising what she risked by speaking out. Without her courage, much of this truth would still be buried. There's one more chilling possibility Lowry raises. Andrew might flee. He mentions a palace in Abu Dhabi reportedly offered to him, along with protection networks across the Gulf states. Thailand, where he spent time in the past, is mentioned as another potential refuge. If Andrew ever believes criminal charges are imminent, Lowry thinks he could leave Britain and never return. For someone whose identity is entirely tied to royal status, exile would be the ultimate humiliation. But for someone who's spent decades avoiding accountability, it might be the only option left.
Well, you reveal in your book that Andrew actually chose Virginia from a series of photos that Ghislaine Maxwell had sent him.
Yes, from two different sources. People have seen basically this book of photographs that would be circulated, and people would choose who they wanted to meet.
So where does this leave us? According to Lowry, this is only the beginning. More emails are expected to surface. More witnesses may come forward. Each revelation pulls the palace further from its old playbook of silence and delay. If the monarchy wants to protect its future, it must confront its past. Transparency is no longer optional. Without it, the damage will only deepen. Public trust is fragile, and once it's lost, it's nearly impossible to recover. Here's what I want to know from you. Do you think Andrew will ever face real legal consequences, or will he remain protected by wealth and status? Should King Charles strip him of all remaining titles, or does that just turn him into a martyr in some circles? And what about Sarah Ferguson? Is she complicit, or is she just another victim of Epstein's manipulation? Leave your thoughts below. I read every comment, and I want to hear where you stand on this. For daily updates on Prince Andrew, the royal family, and the scandals that keep unfolding behind palace walls, make sure you're subscribed and notifications are turned on. You won't want to miss what comes next. And if you want to understand how Sarah Ferguson became so financially entangled with Epstein in the first place, check out the video I've linked at the end. It connects directly to what we've covered today. Thank you for watching.